Hi, I'm Jenny. Welcome to the League-Kempner House. Today is do or die day. I have been putting off fixing the mistake that was made in pouring the slab here in the bathroom that will be in our gift shop when we get fully opened. And if you recall, when they poured the foundation, this was supposed to be perfectly level so that the toilet could sit and then come and have a step up where the wall was. And I had told the guys they could slope it on the other side because I didn't care. And I left and we had a miscommunication and they sloped it here. So it is very unlevel from the back to the front where the toilet needs to be. That's off a full bubble. And then of course we had the problem with the plumber broke the pipe coming up and they had to jackhammer through the foundation back to the dirt, dig down to where they could get a coupling on and get a new pipe and get the flange set, which they did. So this is the height that they want the toilet. So what I need to do is now rebuild my form. I had one, but it got strewn all around the basement when they were working down here. And it's do or die because all of the water lines are in, all the vents are in. They're ready to temporarily connect this toilet and get a flushing toilet down here in the basement. And they were missing a part last week. They've ordered that, but they're coming back hopefully Monday when that part gets in. It's Sunday. No, what is it? It's Saturday. So in a couple days, and I'm putting a layer of self-leveling compound on here. It's going to be pretty thin. It's a fast cure product, but I need to get going and rebuild my form. So I'm going to try to get the camera in here and show you what I've done. And I say it out loud to myself when I'm working, because if you saw the last video or earlier in this video, I don't know where it'll show up, I was tired and I cut a piece of plywood wrong. It was supposed to be 7 foot 1 inch and I misread it and cut it 71 inches. So I quit that day and called it quits. When you get tired, sometimes it's best to walk away. But I'm fresh this morning. I'm going to do this first, but I am going to read all my dimensions out loud and talk through it to myself. So you might as well join me as I do that and make sure I don't mess this up, because everything is correctable with time and money. But I only want to do this once, and I want that toilet set so we can get rid of that porta potty. So let me get up and grab the camera and get you in here close. Okay, so I have already laid this out once, and then it got rubbed away through all the traffic in here. But I have my dimensions. It's 14 inches from the center of the drain to the front of the base of the commode, and 11 inches from the center of the drain to the back of the commode base. It's also 10 inches wide, and so this little platform needs to accommodate that. And I'm actually going to turn it around this way so that I have 14 towards me, because this is the front, 10 to the back. And I've already drawn some lines, so let me show you what I drew. So nothing gets bolted into that self-leveling compound. The toilet will actually connect here to the flange. They'll stick it's got concrete in there. Anyway, they'll clean that out, put a screw in there, slide it over, set the toilet. This thing needs to spin around. I'll have to do that before I get started. So I want to come up just to the bottom of this flange. So what I did was I measured from the center. On the right. Let me get to the side so you can see. I measured from the center. This tight quarters in here. Yikes. I measured from the center out 7 inches. So that will actually give me 2 inches wider than the base of the toilet. And I did the same thing on the other side, 7 inches from the center to my mark. And the reason I did this is at some point in the future, if we have to change this toilet out and the toilet has a different profile, I want to make sure there's enough leeway to accommodate any kind of toilet in here. Then I measured from the center to the front, and I said it was 14 inches, so I've gone 15. And the front of the bowl is actually about 3 inches beyond the base, so about 18. So no one sitting here will have their feet impacted by that base. It's only going to be about 1/2 inch to 3/4 inches tall in the front. And in the back, I've marked the 10-inch line, but I'm going to go beyond that. I'm going to go back here. Well, I have to go at a minimum to there, let's say. I have to go until I get level. My guess is it's going to go back further to the wall. And let me show you why. So here's the level. If I put it at the 10-inch minimum, I don't know if you can see, but I'm barely off. Maybe this way is better. It'll focus. I'm barely off. I only have to come up a tiny bit to get level. As I move back, because it slopes more, I'm off more, obviously, on the level, and I have to come up a little higher. Now, my guess is to come up to the base of this where I need to be. Let's see. Let me back up. So I'm to the base and I'm watching the bubble. Then I have to go about to that back line that I drew because I need the height and I need the level. So I'm going to go back to about there with the self-leveling compound. So I've drawn a line. It's really back here at the base of that column. So I have a good visual on that. So I'm going to build my form now to accommodate all of that, and then I'll come back and show you what I did. Okay, that was way harder and took much more time than I thought. Let me show you what I did. I had to spin this thing around. You can see where the barcode is here and where its start is. So I spun it more than a 1/4 turn, and I needed to do that because, you know, the little white covers on either side of the toilet, that's the bolt that holds the toilet tight to the floor. And the way it does that, and I don't have the right bolt, so I'm going to show you with the screw, is it slips in the slot here and you slide it over, and then, well, this head isn't big enough to hold, but you get the idea. You put it in, you slide it over, and then the slot is narrower and holds the bolt, and you tighten a nut down on top to snug the toilet down. So if this was front and back, there'd be no way to set the toilet. And I'm afraid if I poured the concrete up, David said I can come all the way up, that there wouldn't be enough play in this to spin it where it needed to be. So I needed to get that spun before I poured the leveling compound. And it was way harder to do and took longer than I thought. It was pretty tight on there. But I've got it, I think, in a good spot. So I'm going to get back to work. This is so hard to film and stay away from the light and not make a shadow, but I want to show you what I've done so far. So I've got my outer part of the form set up. I've marked 14 inches here to here. Then I added a 1/4 inch because I'm going to screw this in here and screw this in here, but I'm going to screw this board up high up here. And you can see it leaves a big gap underneath, but that gap will be filled by a piece of 1/4 inch plywood that I scribed and cut to follow the curve of the floor so that it will sit tight. And I was going to show you how I did that down here, but there's just no room, and you should have already seen a video of it with Ben scribing the windows when he did that. And basically you just take a pencil and lay it on the ground and drag it across, and it follows the curve of the floor and leaves a line on the board, and then you can cut it with a jigsaw. So that's what I did with this board. Once I get the big frame put together, I'll attach this, and it'll make a tight seal against the concrete down there, so that when I pour the leveling compound, it doesn't ooze out everywhere. Okay, I figured out a place to put my camera, so maybe you can see some of this. Normally Joe would come film, but we're doing tours today, and it's just she and me today, so she can't come down here. But I've made only 5 trips up and down the stairs to get the things I need. The other day I counted, I think, 20 trips. Everything is always in a different place, but I needed screws, and then I got down here and realized I didn't have the star tip to screw them in. And I'm actually going to start with this guy over here and move this so I can push this up against the back to have something to anchor that board, so when I drill in it doesn't move. And it would be nice to have something under it. Well, actually, maybe I'll stand it up and drill that way. Nope, I'm going to do it this way. When I stand it up, it wobbles wonky the other way. Actually, okay, I'm going to start my screw where it needs to be and get it mostly drilled in, and then screw it there. Come on. Don't do this to me. Got it going. And these, I don't know if you can see them, but they're threaded down here, and it's a smooth shaft up here. So it's like the carriage bolt concept. This will turn freely in the wood and let the screw snug this up to the board so we don't have a gap. And I really don't need more than one. It's just to hold this in place. Now I can put the other one in, and it's already at the top, more or less. There's a little bit of gap, like dirt. If I really wanted to be precise, I would scribe this side and trim this, but I don't think it's enough of a gap to matter. I think it'll be. Well, I'm going to scribe it and take a look at it and see if I want to mess with cutting it. I don't think that's worth it. I'm going to get a little caulk and just run, just some cheap latex caulk, and run down there to seal it. We'll see. Screw in there. Okay, well, that's pretty good. And then I'm going to get some shorter screws and screw in from the inside this board that snugs down. And I think I have some 1 1/4 inch screws over in the other room. So I will go get them, and then I'll show you the next problem we have to solve. Let me duck in here and grab those. Oop, they put a lot of pipe in there. Can't go that way anymore. Okay, I've just got a couple little short screws. This just has to be tacked in place so it doesn't fall over. Question is how to get an angle on that and get it secured. I think I'll go this way so I can put my foot behind it. Hold it. Alright, I'm happy with that so far. Let me show you the next problem we're going to work on. Even though it's a thin amount of that self-leveling compound, it could pull these things out or push them out from the weight. So I need something heavy on this side and that side to secure it, or to cut a piece of blocking over there, and maybe a board or something to tack this back here to keep there from being movement. So I'm going to work on that next. Okay, here is my little setup. I have a board over here to keep this from pushing to that side. I set up boards in the back to keep it from pushing over there. I've got my side piece in, I got the blower and blew everything out so it's nice and clean. And now I am second guessing how far back I have to go, because if I have to go back farther than that second line I drew, leveling compound will squish out over there. And if I do go back that far, it's only going to be maybe 1/8 to 1/4 inch thick. So I think I'm going to go get the caulk and just put a little caulk under there just to be sure. Okay, I am ready to mix up my self-leveling compound. It's just like we did before with the concrete. And again, I forgot to bring Big Blue, my big angle drill. So I'm going to make do with this little guy. But the self-leveling mix doesn't have any aggregate in it. It's smooth and real silky. And we're going to mix it wetter so that it pours and can come to its self-level. I have everything I need. I don't have my trowel. Oh gosh. Let me go look. I do have my trowel. For once, it happened to be in the right place. And again, we're not going to use the trowel much. It'll self-level, but I do need to kind of spread it out and get it all the places I need to go. So I need that. So let's add water and mix. Yeah, I like that. All right, let's get over there and get it down. I've got my form in. I blew this clean so there's no trash or debris. I put my caulk around here so hopefully nothing seeps under. I've got my bracing to keep this form from kicking out. I added some weight here. One last step is I'm going to paint on some of this concrete bonding adhesive. And concrete doesn't always stick well to itself. You can wet it. You can actually paint a layer of thin, just Portland cement down as kind of a primer. You can also use this. This is a latex medium that's made for this. And you just brush it on, and it kind of preps the concrete so that it will bond. And the thing is, this self-leveling is going to be pretty thin in the back. There's not much to it. So the thinner it is, the less strength it's going to have. And I've actually not had good luck with leveling compound trying to do very shallow areas on floor, like for example, when you're putting down the click together laminates and things where you need a super level surface that chips and breaks up. But I need this to stick, so I'm just going to put this down, and it gets thinner as we go back, so it will be even more of a problem. Now inside here, this is pretty fresh concrete, still got a lot of moisture in it, but I want it to be stuck. I don't have any problem with this. And this you just brush on, and it's water soluble. I'll clean this brush in water as soon as I finish. And this, some you thin with water, some you just use straight. Just read your instructions. And now I'm just going to pour this leveling compound in here. Once I get a little bit in, I take my trowel and move it around to the back. And remember, we're trying to just get up to the bottom of the flange. So you can see it's leveling itself. And that looks about right. I'm not going to put a level on this or anything. It's going to do the work for me because it's so liquid. And that looks about right in the front. So I'm not going to pour so much in the back. I'm just going to add a little bit, because remember, this gets shallower and there's not as much volume to fill. I'm going to spread it out. Make sure I get good bonding with the concrete and feather back up to the back. You can't see it, but I can. We're about a 1/4 inch or so away in the back. I'm going to add a little more. I'm going to help it along. Just kind of get it to level itself. This is my line right here at the back of this column, which is where I thought I would need to be when I put the level on it. And I don't know exactly how level this is. They tried to get that perfectly level. Looks to be a little lower in the front than the back. I'm going to add just a touch more, not that much. And feather back here. Now back here, I'm going to build a cabinet. So actually, once I get to this, none of this will show. It will be embedded in the cabinet. Let's see how it levels itself. If it's thin enough, it makes a nice smooth surface. And I think that's it. I'm going to just put a tiny bit back here and feather out under where the base of that cabinet will be. Just so you see a smooth floor. In this corner, you can't see it, back in the corner of this frame, there was a little dip. I'm going to add a little bit back there. Bring that up. Okay, let's see how it's leveling out. And we're careful not to get any higher, because this is where we have to put that bolt in and slide it. So I don't want to get higher than the bottom of that track that the bolt is in. So I think that's good. It's a little bubbly. Smooth that out. And this is very quick drying. I don't want to mess with it too much or it'll get to the point where it won't level. But I'm going to rake over and get some of these surface bubbles out. But I'm going to call that done. So we will let this cure completely. I'll come back in and remove the forms just out of curiosity. Probably a 1/2 inch in the front. So it wasn't too bad, but out of level enough that a toilet would not sit flush. So let me go rinse out my bucket, clean up my tools, wash my brush, and get on to another project. I found Joe doing some work. Paint stripping the easy way. She already did all over the door.
My lazy paint strip.
Look, she's got on my bouffant hat.
And my safety glasses.
And her, safety glasses. All right. Every little bit helps.
Professional tip, keep your mouth closed.
It does look better. Okay, that is a wrap down here in the basement. This guy's got a cure. I hear tours still going on upstairs, but I'm tired. It has been a long couple of weeks. I have been here, I think, every day working. There's so much to do just to get these bathrooms functional, and we are desperate to get a working toilet and get rid of that porta potty. I know you're tired of hearing that, but we are tired of using that porta potty and everything that goes along with it. So we are one plumbing fitting away from having temporary water supply. If that fitting comes in, the plumbers can come back, set this toilet, the toilet on the other side, and get the water connected, and we will be good to go. No pun intended, but it's huge for us. I can't even tell you how happy we are. And it's a turning point for the house to be able to have walls and start building up, and getting this basement finished out is really critical on that timeline, that critical path schedule, to be able to move up into the first floor and run electrical up there. The electrical panels are going to get moved over here next, and Mateo, our plumber, will come in and start marking where all of the outlets will go, all the switch boxes will go, so we can get those up and start pulling some wire. We're permitted to do our rough-in electrical down here in the basement, so there's a lot of work we can do with volunteer labor and just a little bit more material. And Alfred and his guys are coming back tomorrow, and we're going to be building that wall over in the other apartment to get that temporary beam down and get that area cleared up. And as we use that lumber up, it gets the basement clearer down here. So this is a very exciting time for us, and we really appreciate all your support and following us on YouTube. It helps this house in so many ways. It brings us some revenue. It spreads the word to other old house enthusiasts like you. So share with your friends, talk about us, share the link. We had a woman share with all her Facebook friends our Facebook page, and in one day we jumped up 200 followers on Facebook. So you can help us get the word out, and we really appreciate that. It helps people find us. It helps us know that we are open for tours, and tours are a big revenue source for us going forward. So thanks again for watching. We're the League-Kempner House here in Galveston, Texas. We will see you next week with some more changes down here in the basement and maybe a few upstairs.